We are here to talk about the Werewolf television series, and we are on episode 5. Titled Spectre of the Wolf. Also,
Spectre like the wolf.
aka Eric Goes to College,
and his white pants.
aka Abbe Misses the Black Ship.
Yeah, there's no ship in this episode.
No ship.
No pirates.
As bad as that episode was, I'd rather watch the Black Ship again than this one.
Really?
Oh man, I had a tough time with this episode. I had a tough time with Professor Know-It-All Dingleberry.
Oh,
that guy.
DeGoethels or whatever.
What are you avoiding, Eric?
What are you avoiding, Dr. DeGoethels? I'm a werewolf.
I don't know what that guy's name is, but he's the most useless expert on anything that I've ever seen.
Well, I relate to him in a way that he says something like, I believe there are werewolves, I just don't believe you are one.
You don't even believe the things you say yourself, do you?
Well, that's not quite true. As a matter of fact, I do believe in the possibility of werewolves. I just don't believe you happen to be one.
People say, do you believe in ghosts or psychics? I say, I believe in that, I just don't believe you are a psychic. So
at no point did he ever have an answer or do
anything right from the beginning.
Or do anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what Eric kept on coming back to this guy. You know, it was like an abusive relationship. And like every time he'd be like, can you help me? And he'd be like, no.
What's the verdict? I'll be perfectly honest with you, Eric. I don't know how I can help you. Great.
No.
I still don't have anything to help you.
What was Eric hoping to achieve?
Well, he thought if this guy believed him and he was a well-respected professor, that maybe he could get some assistance and help him find his group. So he was just looking for, a confidant, I think, at that point.
I think he was looking for a cure as well. Like maybe he had some sort of witch doctor
he knew
medicine or shaman spell that he could use to help him out. But
why is Joe also goes up to Dr. DeGoethels and is like, hey, do you see this guy?
Oh yeah.
See him
call picture me. Of Eric in his book there.
Yeah, and then he does see this guy, and he doesn't call Alamo Joe because he thinks they're in cahoots together.
Oh, don't be so angry. You were quite convincing. It's your friend in the cowboy hat I thought was a bit overdressed for the role.
Yeah.
So he blows Eric off when Eric is giving his most earnest of earnest faces. That one that I want to slap most of the time.
Yeah.
I just want to know why every time Eric's like, I got proof I'm a werewolf.
Dr. DeGoethels, come out here. I've got proof.
Why is it always just him being naked?
And Professor was a little touchy, I think.
Oh, very touchy. The sexual tension between Eric and Dr. Dingleberry was palpable.
I wrote that down.
Dingleberries.
But yeah, that's a good question. The episode was almost framed like this guy was supposed to be the Mulder of werewolves.
Oh.
Like the guy you go to, he'll believe you. He'll believe you when nobody else will. And that's not who this guy was at all.
He was a teacher. He was a professor.
Yeah, he was just as skeptical as everyone else, I guess.
Now, granted, if someone shows up on my doorstep and says, hey, guess what? I'm a werewolf.
Yeah.
After I just wrote a book on werewolves, I might be a little skeptical too. However, guess he thought
and then Joe Rogan cockblocked him with the picture.
Yes.
Because he was like, oh, I've already seen your Tinder profile. I know that you're not who you say you are.
I mean, okay, I do want to bring up, he throws Eric out of the house, and Eric, instantly starts to change in, a field. We don't know why. Middle of the day, doesn't matter.
Yep.
The dog starts barking. Now, I just want to point out the dog's name is Boron, not Moron.
I told the dean we need a gun out here. Boron? Guard dog's gone, and I got a lecture at 11. Boron!
Because I thought the guy was yelling, moron! Moron!
I did think he was yelling moron.
Like shithead in The Jerk.
Get in that tub with me! Not you, shithead. Where's Marie?
Yes. I don't even need my
Not
dog.
you, shithead.
And then, the professor comes out. The dog attacks him, and Eric shows up booty ass naked, like, stop. And the dog's like,
and Eric's like, do you believe me now?
Dr. DeGoethels, are you ready to listen to me now?
And I'm
because
like,
I'm standing here
because you're naked? You're fucking, what? Because
Yes,
you're naked
come with me,
by
sir.
some mutilated cattle.
Would
That was
a
like-
human stand naked with his dick out in front of all these dead cows? No,
No,
I'm a werewolf.
I'm
No,
a werewolf, not a
No
werewolf.
human being stack books like this.
Symmetrical book stacking, just like the Philadelphia mass turbulence of 1947.
You're right. No human being would stack books like this.
And I love that they're like running all these tests on him, so he gets to be shirtless for most of this episode.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc, tell me if you see Sharon Levine's roller skate key in there, will you? I swallowed it when I was 10, and she's dying to get those skates off.
He must have had a good week at the gym. He was like, I'm feeling it.
I mean, that's
Let's-
probably the
let's-
only
let's
reason
put
they
this to
hired
good
him,
use.
to be honest.
I mentioned last episode how episode 4 felt like a bottleneck episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was upsetting to me that we got clips
From
Mhm.
episode
from
1.
episode 1 in episode 5, and I'm like,
Yes,
okay, so last week was a bottleneck episode. Are you telling me this is going to be a fucking clip show?
yes,
It's not
right.
a clip show.
This
We
is
played 5 full minutes of the first episode.
we're on episode 5. They usually offer like a little refresher recap,
Like by the finale.
well, like season 2, episode 1.
Previously on Family Guy.
Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer?
Right here.
You win.
All right. What do I win?
Another beer.
Just to let you know what happened last season.
Yes.
We're on episode 5.
And it was a straight old clip, too. It was just,
In
let's throw
case you
this in
forgot what
here.
you saw last month.
It was all stock footage.
Yeah, it literally was just I wrote down,
It was
get
kinda
utilized
like-
some good stock footage from the first episode.
Remember how good that first episode was?
I am convinced that we started this little journey on this show solely that you guys know how much I hate werewolves, and you picked the most ridiculous, dumbass show. And it's like some Andy Kaufman level joke.
It'll be great. People will think their TV is broken. Call the TV store. Hey, I paid a lot of money for that TV. They'll bang on the television. They won't be able to fix it.
That you're making me watch this.
Here's my favorite part. We do all these tests. He says, I'm going to put you in this room, because Eric's like, look, I'm going to change again. Look at my hand is bleeding. And he's like, oh, okay. So he straps him down in this room with a glass window. No, you can't break through that. It's tempered glass, and this is a steel door. And so he straps him down, obviously naked, to this gurney. And then Eric starts a little shifty. And in 3 seconds flat, busts right through that wall and out. I guess because the guy didn't believe him and called the cops on him when he had him under hypnosis. I think there's a law against that.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that hypnosis scene,
So
like,
cheeseball.
yeah, it just really went to show how awful of an actor John York is.
Something happened while I was watching. Something happened that never happened before.
No.
And I kept thinking, like, like, you know how, like, you guys see Get Out, Jordan Peele?
Yeah.
Like, there's that whole scene where he's like he's hypnotized, and his hypnotist is basically doing the Vulcan mind meld on him, and
Crying
and like that scene has so much tension and wonderful acting, and like the fear and just
desperation and
desperation in his face. Like it's just
he emotes, as they say.
pure artistry. And then this scene is like the absolute antithesis of that. It's like someone who just stumbled. He just stumbled onto set. Like, did he even know his lines?
Because he thinks I killed a man. He thinks I killed my roommate. My best friend, Teddy.
Did you?
What I killed wasn't Teddy. Teddy changed. He wasn't Teddy anymore. Teddy was a werewolf.
And the Oscar goes to...
Was he reading them behind like a cue card behind the doctor? It was just pretty atrocious.
To add to what you were saying, Adam, I mean, I get that we cannot compare this to what arguably might have been the greatest movie of the year that it was released. I mean, this was Fox's, like, we got to put something on late at night.
Shit, episode 5. What are we going to do now?
So, I mean, the soft parenting of Santa Claus the therapist versus Eric the Wolfman. And that's what it felt like to me. It felt like soft parenting, like that whole thing now where it's like we don't, the kid breaks something and you don't get mad at the kid anymore. You got to talk to the kid about the emotions.
Blame him what was wrong.
That's not a good choice. Theo, make a good choice, please. Theo, Abby, don't hit him. That's also not a good choice. Theo, get out. Theodore, get out of the bucket!
Get out of, yeah.
And I was getting a lot of vibes of that. And
with more touching.
It's just
a lot of touching.
A lot of
even behind the glass, through his mind, he was still touching him.
Yeah.
Right. So Eric is like strapped onto that gurney thing, like Gabby was saying. I don't know. Still, the werewolf transformation scenes, even in the worst of episodes, I still get a kick out of them because they're so old school transformation, like the cutaways and stuff like that. But I still really got a kick out of the werewolf jumping through the glass and after him. But when that occurs, Doctor, what is his real name? I keep calling him Dingleberry. Do we know his real name? Like we can continue. All right, we'll just continue with. I'm not saying that. We'll continue with Dingleberry.
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 There was a point where the doctor slowly backs out of the room, and he tumbles onto some chairs that were in no way
in his way at all,
obstructing his path to escape. That was just like, this is a very useless and stupid man. I don't
took
know
you that long into the episode.
Yeah. Well, I was still holding out hope. He had something to prove, and no, that was what a waste. Like the werewolf, he supposedly has no control over himself when he is a werewolf. Yet he doesn't kill the doctor. He just kind of comes up to him and tickles his belly.
Nips him a little bit. Yeah.
It was like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
I love that.
Eric specifically says to this, what is he? Is he a doctor? Is he an author?
He is
a doctor. Baby?
He is a doctor.
Okay.
He's a doctor and he's a doctor of books. He's a book.
He says there are only two types of werewolves: ones that are pure evil and ones that are completely insane.
Why it's considered a myth? Because most werewolves kill themselves. The ones who don't are either purely evil or completely insane.
And which one are you? Oh, if you'll excuse me, I have an early department meeting in the morning.
And the doctor asks him, what kind are you? And
one
Eric doesn't
are
answer the
you?
question. So where was Eric going with that? Because he's clearly trying to be the good werewolf.
He was going with like whoever wrote that line thought it sounded cool. And then didn't have an answer for it.
Didn't have an answer for it. Because, there is no, like, satisfactory. I was waiting for say, like, he's like, well, I'm not evil, so I guess I'm
Well, he's not evil, and he hasn't been a werewolf long enough to be insane.
Maybe he's afraid he'll turn evil if he is.
I guess he really should have said there were three types of werewolves.
And I'm
you're either pure evil, utterly insane.
You're just all right.
Or the werewolf that's going to be one of, the guy who's going to choose one of those.
Yeah.
The one that's going to announce himself naked to everybody he sees moving forward.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I'll be honest with you. If I looked like that, my upper body, I'd do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'd be naked.
Every
and we've
time
seen
there
his
was-
lower body.
every
too.
time there was a cattle mutilation in my town, I would show up without a shirt on.
Grocery store naked. I mean, make friends.
Goes to a book signing. Eric goes to a book signing.
No, but
no,
they
he
do
doesn't.
a
Alamo Joe
flashback.
goes to the book signing.
Right. They do the flashback where he sits through the guy's lecture. I need to
And that's
talk
how
to
Eric
you.
knows to go to his house. Yes. yes.
Yeah. Because they just give out addresses, I guess.
This movie's What About Bob, but with a werewolf.
Thanks again.
Honey, is someone calling you? Leo, do you know that man?
Get in the car.
Oh, sorry, this show. This episode is What About Bob, but with a
I'm sailing! I'm sailing!
werewolf.
I'm saying.
I'm sailing. Far,
Oh, good. I could put the Uncle Kev clip back in. My Uncle Kevin, who got me in the horror movies, is an extra in that movie in the elevator scene. What about Bob? We have to put him in.
What?
He's
Shut up,
front
I
and
love-
center.
I'm in the elevator.
I guess it would be fair to point out that the doctor does say to Joe Rogan, like, he's always like, it's so funny when I always say Joe Rogan, and I think of like the
fucking Joe Rogan.
I thought pipes break just because the water expands.
Yeah, I just described that in the opposite direction.
Oh, but I didn't know it gets larger.
That's what expansion means. What
Right.
kind of what's with your vocabulary here?
But you're a weird person. Yeah. Like
Very, very weird.
Woo.
Yeah, that'd be pretty weird. I agree.
Real weird.
Definitely.
like the podcast guy. But he's like, I know now that like Eric hasn't killed anyone.
You realize this fella killed a man.
I believe a lot of things now I didn't believe before. But one thing I don't believe is that our friend Eric Cord ever killed any man.
Right.
Because, even as a
Any
werewolf, he chose to tickle me.
Except for that guy he killed.
But he
Even
was-
in
and he was a monster.
even in his purest animal state, he chose to tickle me rather than kill me.
Tickle, tickle.
I feel like I'd be the same kind of werewolf, to be honest with you.
I have a very strange feeling we'll find out in April.
Giving people wedgies.
Aw, my favorite kind of werewolf.
I remind myself several times during this very short watch that this is one of my favorite shows of all time. There was a few times where I had to actually question myself as to why that is. But I'm holding off hope that there are going to be episodes in the future that reclaim its position in my mind. It was just a bad television show. That's what I watched last night. It was a bad television show with a few seconds of a cool werewolf and
A lot of naked dude.
a montage of episode 1 when we're on episode 5. Like we're
Just in case you forgot.
we're already nostalgic about episode 1. I know you guys will. Brian will probably moan and say this is too high, but you got to remember I still have the nostalgia soft spot for it, regardless. So I'm gonna go 2. I'm gonna go 2 out of 5. Really bad doctors that trip over chairs that aren't even in their way. Out of 5.
So yeah, I had mentioned before that I wasn't convinced this wasn't some kind of Andy Kaufman-esque long play joke that you guys are pulling on me. I know you've tried to quell those concerns, but I'm going to let you know right now.
You're not fine.
It's there in the back of my mind.
Fair.
This episode Adam was absolutely right. I'm kind of wishing we were watching episode 4 again, because at least that was on a ship, and that was a lot more interesting of a set piece than
We had 2 werewolves.
some guy's summer house. Like I said, this is What About Bob? This is a guy who shows up at a doctor's house, professor's house, and refuses to leave him alone.
You're right.
It's a 5-minute clip show from the first episode. This is brain rot. There is nothing redeemable about this episode. I'm going to give this 0.5 out of 5 sneaky pics of Eric in a book. Out of 5.
This is coming from a guy who reviews Amityville movies.
I mean, who misses them when he takes too long away from them.
You know what? Fair argument. Fair argument.
It's freaking ridiculous, but it was, 23 minutes of my life that I won't actually get back. But
at least these are short.
Yeah, and I think that benefits this so much, because if this was an hour-long movie or an hour-long episode, I would be throwing things at the television. But I think it entertained me for what it was, which is absolutely no exposition whatsoever into the story. The same characters popping in for 5 minutes doing their same lines, like Alamo Joe, like, "He got to watch him. You should have called me." And, we're getting places here. Dr. Douchebag, I could have done without him the whole time. He kind of reminded me of like Frasier, that just pompous, I know everything sort of attitude. I am going to give this 2.2 because I want to be a little bit more. 2.2 out of 5. Really weird doctor-patient confidentiality breaches out of 5, because I feel like that's wrong somehow. Out of 5. Guys, if you want to, you should write to us. We get very excited when we get comments on our YouTube, and
even better, post a comment in YouTube. I love reading them. When we ever do get them, I love it. I love
few and far between. We're
feedback.
very thankful of it, and we all share it and get excited. So do that for us at hormonalwerewolves@gmail.com.
No idea the power you have over us.
I know. We will change our entire format.
With subtle suggestion.
Which reminds us, we'll be doing a fan episode soon.
Hormonal horrors.
Hormonalhorrors@gmail.com. Check it out. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, all the good places. And just stay safe. Stay on the path. Stay out of the moors. I don't know.
Stay on target. Stay on target. All right. Bye.
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 Pew, pew.